Imagine a world where Spider-Man, Venom, and Knull all collide in one multiversal war. Sounds like fanfiction, right? But what if I told you that Sony's sudden cancellation spree might actually be setting this up for real? Buckle up, because this theory might just blow your mind. So, we don't even like the word cancel. But recently, it seems like the time itself is such that all good things are getting canceled and trash is being served to us. Anyway, reportedly, Sony has recently paused all its Spider-Man projects. They've put everything in pause mode. You might have heard this update already. Even the character Knull, the one that had you blown away in the theater, was supposed to get a movie. That too has been canceled. Now, while canceling sequels for movies like Madam Web and Kraven the Hunter makes sense, canceling Knull's movie doesn't really feel like a good move. But what if I told you that this pause on Sony's projects might actually be a hint, an indirect sign, that Venom and Knull could be coming to the MCU? Let me explain. Stay with me. So let's start from the beginning. Reports say that from Madam Web to Kraven, the Hunter, and the rest of the upcoming sequels, Sony has paused them all, including Knull's project. Yes, there was a movie planned on Knull too, and Sony has stopped that as well. I'm talking about our guy, Knull. Now, if you remember, in the post-credit scene of Venom: The Last Dance, Knull had a major setup. His future was basically teased. He promised to destroy Venom's world, confirming that Knull would appear in a future movie, whether it's in a new Symbiotes movie or maybe even his own solo film. And back then, the chances of him entering the MCU were extremely low. Just think about it. Even Eddie and Venom came into the MCU, stayed for 2 minutes, and then left. Poor Venom, despite being a main character, hasn't properly entered Spider-Man's MCU universe. So how would an entity like Knull make it in? But maybe Sony has realized that if characters like Venom and Knull join the MCU squad instead of playing solo, it could be a banger. Because just the scene of Venom watching Spidey was enough to make fans go wild. So imagine if the two came face to face, even for a second. What a scene that would be. So I think Sony's project pause isn't a sudden move. It seems like a properly planned step. Maybe Sony has decided it's time for the real blast. And that blast can only happen if both Venom and Knull enter the MCU. Because in a way, they exist in a universe where Spider-Man doesn't. The Sonyverse. But in the MCU, there are plenty of toys to play with. There's our baby Parker, and in the future, even Miles Morales. Because in the Spider-Man games, we've seen both Miles and Peter fighting Venom. And though that's just a game scenario, a fantasy, it gives us a hint. And since Sony and Marvel have always had messy rights issues over these characters, the chances of Venom and Knull entering the MCU always seemed low. But now that Venom's story has ended in The Last Dance, and Knull himself is a multiversal entity, yes, he is, maybe Sony now wants to send them to their rightful place, the MCU. And if they do, both parties benefit. It's not just Marvel winning, Sony gains too. Maybe that's why they've paused all their Spider-Man spin-off projects. So for now, consider Sony's Spider-Verse closed. The only way for Venom to return now is through that Venom chunk left behind in the MCU. Remember, that was an MCU scene, not Sony's. Also, like I've told you many times, like the video. Just kidding. Like I've told you many times, from a comics angle, Peter Parker gets his symbiote suit just before the Secret Wars events. And since the MCU is rapidly moving towards Secret Wars, it's safe to say that by next year or the year after, Peter might get his symbiote suit, just before Secret Wars. Now, could Venom appear in Brand New Day? I think the chances are low because it already has Punisher, Hulk, Madcap, and a bunch of other characters. It's already too crowded. Hulk alone counts as 3 characters, so adding Venom wouldn't make much sense. Some people say Peter and the symbiote together could stop Savage Hulk. Who knows? Even if it doesn't happen in Brand New Day, maybe in the post-credit scene we'll see the symbiote crawling toward Peter. Or if not there, then it has to happen in the Doomsday movie. Because in Doomsday, Peter getting the symbiote is crucial. Just 1 year after that comes Secret Wars, and for Peter to enter that mega battle, he needs a major power boost, one he can only get from the symbiote. Now we've covered Venom. But how does Knull fit into all this? Last time we saw Knull, he was monologuing on his throne, surrounded by his army. But he forgot one thing. He's still not free. He's still imprisoned because he hasn't received the Codex yet. And the Codex that was in Sony, formed through Eddie and Venom's bond, that ended with Venom. So now, the next Codex can only be formed in the MCU, between our baby Parker and Venom. So maybe in upcoming movies, there will be a moment when Peter gets badly beaten, nearly dies, and then the symbiote crawls toward him, bonds with him, and saves him. That kind of bond, between host and symbiote, creates a new Codex. And as soon as that new Codex forms, Knull will instantly know. Because the Codex sends out a signal that triggers Knull and his army. Remember, as long as Venom and Eddie had a strong bond, the genophage could track their location. And here in the MCU, Peter knows nothing about Knull or Venom. Even this MCU Venom chunk might know of Knull, but not all the events from the Sony-verse. He'd only have a faint idea through the hive mind. And he probably doesn't even know that Knull wants to hunt him down using the Codex. And by the time he learns everything through the hive mind, I mean this MCU Venom chunk, just to avoid confusion, it'll be too late. Because by then, Knull will already have the new Codex's live location and send the genophage to hunt him down. But here's the important part. This will all happen after Secret Wars, after Marvel's soft reboot. So here's the step-by-step timeline. Venom will meet Peter in Doomsday, just before Secret Wars. Peter will get his black symbiote suit to join the Secret Wars party. After Secret Wars ends and Marvel does its soft reboot, the new Spider-Man movie, likely Spider-Man 5, could bring Knull. And yes, Spider-Man 5 will likely be in the next saga. Because come on, Tom Holland doesn't have just a 4-film contract with Marvel. It's more than that. And if Doom and Knull are being introduced, why would they make Peter fight Morbius? No, he's going to face off against Knull. So up until Secret Wars, it'll be Peter versus Venom, and then Peter and Venom. And as Secret Wars ends, Knull will finally get full knowledge of the new MCU Codex, and the story will continue in future Spider-Man films. So yeah, in my view, these reports of Sony pausing their Spider-Man spin-offs, they might just be a silver lining. Because maybe it means that the characters we couldn't even imagine without Spider-Man are finally going to be with Spider-Man. You've seen what happened to those movies without him. Finally, Sony might have realized, Mix only cooks right with Spider-Man inside the MCU. And that's why they're saying, we're not making more solo films in our universe. We'll send Venom, Knull, and the rest into the MCU. Do what you want. Just give us our cut. So let's wrap it up, guys. What are your thoughts on all this? When do you think Knull will come to the MCU? Got any questions or ideas? Drop them in the comments. If you liked the video, hit the like button. And if you're new, then sub the channel. Press the bell icon so you keep getting these deep layered leaks. So be safe, guys, and take care.